Hi everyone, something a bit different from us today. It's still Marvel Crisis Protocol, but we thought we'd talk about lists.
Yeah.
More specifically, we have entered in a tournament in Truro, in the southwest of England. There's a week to go, so we could change our minds on lists, but it's a bit of a new event, something we've never done before.
Exactly.
Because it's a 3-person event. So it's me, you, and Dan, who you've yet to see his pretty face. And no, he won't be wearing the Ant-Man helmet all through the tournament, because he definitely would pass out. So, in this tournament, in your team, you cannot have 2 characters the same in any of the 3 lists. You can't have any card the same in any of the 3 lists. And that also includes team tactic cards, mission cards, anything.
No duplicates of any form.
No repeats. So it's a very different tournament. So there is a bit of team play, even though there will be 3 people in one game, because that would be pretty packed. In a 3x3 mat, having 6...
That would be funny.
It'd be brutal. It would be like Civil War in the comics. So not in the films, but the comics. And I think that would be worth a bust, I guess. I don't know how that would work rules-wise, but pretty funny. So we'll talk through what we've got so far, why we've picked it more importantly. I mean, that can all change.
Rule of cool?
A lot of it.
A lot of it is.
I mean, for me, it's rule of cool. For you, it's rule of insert bleep.
Well, I mean, my whole start with like Doctor Strange is purely because the shop, when I first bought the box set, I wanted to get enough to do a team, and I was going to go for Web Warriors, but he didn't have any of the Web Warrior leaders there, so I ended up limited to just Doctor Strange with Defenders.
We've definitely both deviated, because I bought the core box and I was going to go Cabal, and then when I saw the X-Men, I was like, X-Men basically is my childhood love for the 90s. I don't know really where you were trying to go for, but I remember you first playing Scarlet Witch, and you loved her and the model.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't not play her in any list for a long time. So
Did
I
you
think
see that meme the other day, by the way?
No, we're gonna have to cover that again.
it was. I would definitely do, and Scarlet Witch is there, and definitely do. I think Ian shared it.
Terrible. Not surprising. But yeah, I think your love for wizards and all things complication probably started from there.
It changed from getting this. I mean, as a childhood superhero fan, Spider-Man has always been mine since I was like 4 or 5 years old. So that's a long time ago.
Like 20 years?
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, and then obviously, watching certain series like Daredevil. Everybody loved Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
We won't mention that other one, but yeah, Daredevil. And with that side of things, Elektra and so forth. But like I said, my restriction was like based on what was available. It was like, give that a go, and since then it's like really rolled into more. So yeah.
So X-Men, slippery slope into Brotherhood, because Rogue and Gambit obviously can work with either. The only reason I picked up Magneto was Toad. Andrew Brown basically is a plastic crack dealer, because we're at Element of Games. I thought Juggernaut was just a fun model. I was never going to play him. It's just a fun model. And I was looking at Toad, and I was thinking, Toad's a nice 2-pointer, because at the time, my own 2-pointer I was really using in pretty much every list was Black Widow. And Andrew's like, yeah, I'll remind you of the time you say you would never play Magneto after buying the Toad and Magneto box. And he did the other day. He's like, remember that time, Element, when you bought the box? And he said, I'm never going to play him. And he was basically just standing there going, oh, and here's Mystique, and here's Juggernaut, and okay, I'll buy the lot, but I'll never play them, it's fine. And this is the beauty of this game, because yes, you only need 10 models. Your 10 model roster Doesn't have to be all one affiliation. Because in this one, potentially, I could go 3. I could go X-Force, X-Men, and Brotherhood, and there's 2 leaders in my Brotherhood, so you never know what you're going to go with. And that's how they get you. That's how MCP get you.
I've got 6 leaders.
Yes, to be fair, Convocation, yeah, you can. But
the only 2-point leader in the game.
Who's that?
Wong.
Oh God, how can I forget Wong? Jesus. Yes, so many Sorcerer Supremes.
Yeah.
So you got 2, 4, 6?
Yeah.
6 Sorcerer Supremes. That's just greedy, man. They can't all be Sorcerer Supreme at the same time.
It's a shame that the rule doesn't work.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Well, technically they could in different multiverses. Anyhow, slight deviation there. But yes, so initial ideas for our team. So we know roughly what our playstyles are. I generally walk up, smash things in most games. So I've been playing Blood Angels and 40k, World Eaters, Tyranids. My playstyle is very much like that. Dan is the good guy of the group. He is basically Captain America. He really is. He doesn't swear. He's basically better than us, as in a better person than us, which is not hard, to be fair. We're just smart.
But explain the anti-heroes that he plays.
Well, I don't know. When you're a soldier, you could be
his other team that he really loves, doesn't he?
Oh, Spider-Foes. That, once again, goes back to his childhood, watching 90s Spider-Man. So that's how this game, I think, affects everybody of our generation. Yeah, okay. So he knew what he wanted to play, roughly. I knew what I wanted to play, roughly. Basically, I'm not playing X-Force, but I always pick Cable first, because he's my man. I love the model. The rules aren't bad, and I just thought he was great in computer games, like Deadpool computer game, great in comics, things like that. So that was our basic start line. That's where we wanted to go with. But these rules will be true in any tournament that you guys want to play in. It doesn't have to be a 3-person event.
No.
So just pick roughly what you feel like you want to play. Be it Rule of Cool, or you like the team affiliation bonus.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, Rule of Cool is the first place to go. You get the miniatures that you like the looks of, and then you start just bringing in ones that sound cool to play alongside those ones.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where you'll settle on something that, looks cool and plays the way you want to play it. I mean, neither one of us are actually using the miniatures that we first started off using. I've probably got 1.
I was trying to think if any of them were in the core box. Not a single one was.
No, I mean, from the core box, none of mine are from the core box. But I use one that I got in the beginning, because obviously my first miniature I got
Outside the core box.
outside the core box was Doctor Strange. And he comes with Wong. And Convocation, Defenders, whichever one I play, Wong's in it. I mean, this goes back to another part of list building, is when you're building your list, you need to pay attention to the points values of the miniatures themselves. Believe it or not, one of the hardest slots to fill is the cheap guy slot.
Yeah, because you always pick, generally you always pick the hardest hitting ones first, the biggest points first, and then you get down to the end. You're on 14 points, it's a 16-point mission kind of thing, 17 point maybe, and you're thinking, I'm not going to play points down.
No.
So how can I squeeze the most out of my list? But we obviously are talking about our play style. We play fun competitive, not hyper competitive. So this is for a tournament. We're not going to play with any handicaps or anything like that. We do want to play stuff we find fun, but we also want to play fairly hard. But for you guys out there that don't care what the model looks like, you never watched any of the Marvel stuff as growing up as a kid or weren't interested in it at all, and you just want to go hardcore, the same basic rules apply. You pick a team that has a good affiliation bonus, because even though we might have rules of cool, if a model is really, really nice, but the team affiliation bonus isn't very good. So like Scott, alright. I always thought he was a bit of a prat in the comics because I'm more of a Wolverine kind of guy. But I never thought his team affiliation bonus was very good, so I never used him until recently. And he does have quite a good niche. So I've not binned him off completely.
Cool.
Things like Gamma's great, because he can do his beams and things like that. And the rest of the party can help him power up. But he has have a fairly good team, a good number of models. He can't just have like 3 or 4 models in the team because it's not really going to work out. So you need to pick your team affiliation bonus. So you've gone Convocation.
Yep.
Because what drew you Convocations? Must be the bonus, right?
It's mainly because Convocation is like, it's an added bonus. I get to play a couple of miniatures that I really love the style of, and then I get the bonus of the ability. Otherwise, I mean, ideally I was going for Defenders. And Defenders is too restricted, even though their team ability is great. But it means you had to only play Doctor Strange, the original Doctor Strange.
Which isn't bad.
Which isn't bad, even though both Strangers are on there. So I can either play Defenders with no team ability, or I play Defenders using Doctor Strange, OE Strange, every time. Or I go Convocation, and I'm not so stuck on restrictions.
So a Convocation, correct me if I'm wrong, if you get hit after the attack is resolved, you can move?
There's 2 types. There's basically the Convocation have 2 abilities on their card. First of all, they're the only affiliation that has a card that's, instead of taking 10 tactic cards, I take 9 plus the team affiliation card, and it's a double-sided card. So basically, there is the Circle of the Cosmos, which is the side I typically play, which is when a character is damaged from an enemy attack, it can then be placed 1 within its current from its current position, and it can do it once per turn. So that's the usual side that I play. Or they can play the other side, which is Moons of Munapur, which is basically when an allied character makes a mystic attack against a character without an activated token, it can reroll 1 of its attack dice. When this allied character makes an attack without an activated token against... when an allied character without an activated token makes a defense roll, it can reroll 1 of its defense dice. I mean, me having to read it on the card again just goes to show how often I use that side. I typically take it for the Cosmos.
That is brilliant, because if someone hits you and they don't kill you outright, you have the option of moving.
Yeah.
Which means generally they can't do the follow-up attack unless they get, let's say, got a range 3 attack and they're within 2 anyway. Which really does change people's plans, doesn't it?
Well, we've had games before. I think it was Dan was playing, and he had to consider whether to attack one of my characters because it would have meant that if he'd damaged me, I'd have put myself back on an objective.
And it also changes the whole thing of pushes in an action or in an attack, because if you push in an action, you can't do that because it specifically says an attack. But let's say you've got, Juggernaut, he's got a push if he gets a wild. So after the attack is resolved, he can push you. Well, then after I finish that, you can just move back.
Yep.
So normally, Juggernaut really wants to be getting that wild. He wants to push you off those objectives. Brilliant. But then you will just move back.
Yeah.
But an attack that doesn't have a push, and I'm trying to kill you, you can move off the objective. Yes, you're not going to get smacked again, but then it's going to hinder you. So it's the right time to use it, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I said, typically a push, you're going to be pushing somebody short, and it's not really going to do too much, but it makes just that ability that, okay, you're going to push me, but if you don't push me far enough, I am going to bounce back. So if I started on the front side of an objective, and somebody's pushed me short, but they've had to push me away, I'm still within range that I can bounce back and stay on top of the objective.
And of course, you might want to attack someone else, and I've put a model in front of you, and I'm like, okay, you've got Mystic attacks, I'm really good against Mystic, so I'm going to try to attack you. Okay, after the attack's resolved, you then move and then hit someone who's not so good at defending against it. I've helped you.
Yep.
So that's complication. I've gone with X-Men and Brotherhood. Brotherhood has 2 leaders. Basically, Mystique is the one who's like got a token on an objective, and she's counted that objective as if it was a friendly model, so she can still move off of it and still be scoring the objective. And her first model, she interacts. First objective she tries to pick up, she spends 1 power, and then she gets that power back and still carries it. Say it's a cube or something you're carrying. Brilliant, and it works for the whole of her team. So she's got really good power management, things like that when it comes to objectives, which isn't game breaking, but it's just a better resource management. And when it comes to Magneto, basically if you destroy any terrain in the whole of my team, and your opponent destroys any of the terrain, that size of the terrain also counts as power, powering up my team spread out evenly. And X-Men, I've gone with Storm, so basically everything outside of 2 has cover, which is always nice. Changing one of your defense dice to a shield, and there's obviously it's Doc Ock or somebody ignoring cover. And she can do the once per turn X-Men hop, which sounds like a dance move, but basically you pick
It is a dance.
you basically pick a friendly within range 2, and you can place that model that you want to within 1 of that friendly, which only happens once per turn, but has some big benefits. So for example, Juggernaut is within range 2 of Cable. Normally Juggernaut's fairly slow movement, but you can place within 1, and that's basically a free move without costing an action, and then you can
Pretty much
still...
a medium move almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends obviously on the size of the bases and things like that. And Dan, I believe, is going for Avengers, is that right?
Yes.
Because Dan is Mr. Avenger, he is. But he's playing both Sam and Steve, because Steve's generally good. You can put any model in Steve's team and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because its power is reduced down by 1 to a minimum of 1. Of course, X powers aren't changed.
The only character that doesn't benefit from his actual team ability is Ant-Man, but Ant-Man doesn't care.
No, because all of his powers are 1 anyway.
1 or 3.
There you go. And then Sam is brilliant because he's basically pushing everybody around anyway, so he's pretty good on his own. But his team affiliation ability is if someone is dazed or KO'd, another one of his friendlies can heal, and they can
Heal, clear condition, and move.
It's got like a little reposition, which is great because once again you can get on an objective and things like that. Not that you'll want to really play that your characters are getting dazed or KO'd.
No.
But if it does happen,
then you get the benefit.
It's really nice. It's really nice. So yes, whatever tournament you're playing in or friendly you're playing in, you think team tactic first, and you build around that. So you've got your leader, you've got your team tactic affiliation, and you have to remember it's more than 50% of your team has to be the same affiliation to get a bonus.
So 51% plus.
Yeah, so it's more than 50%. So you've got a 6-person team, and 3 is X-Men, and 3 is a mixture. You don't get it. It needs to be over 50%.
Yeah.
So what would be your next stage after you've picked your leader? What do you normally aim for?
Well, so because mine's not the same with that, so mine literally, to pick a leader, is I had to pick Convocation Miniatures.
Which is, I think, the only team you can do that with.
The only team that you can do that with. And it gives me the advantage that, well, there's like 7 Convocation Miniatures, I think.
So it's not a massive affiliation.
No.
But it's very, very versatile.
Yeah. So, and with that, I've actually... It's the mainstay of my team. I mean, if you look just here, and take Scarlet out, that is my Convocation team. 8 miniatures, there you go. Because it would also be Original Strange.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't take Original Strange, well, in this one in particular, because discussing it, Dan's going to use him with
yeah. Original Strange is a very different play. He's
Yes.
more team benefits, healing, buffing, re-rolling, more survivable. Whereas the Strange you're using,
he's offensive.
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 He is offensive.
He's quite literally Doctor Strange in a pissed off mood.
Yeah, yeah. So a brilliant A attack. Is it A2?
Yeah.
So everybody within 2
It's like, yeah.
is a brilliant attack. It's never a bad thing at all. If you get into the right position, if I'm bunched up, or if it's like a mission like Gamma or something, when you're pretty close together, he's a really, really good character.
Yes. I mean, I had it the other day where I was facing off against Andrew Brown again, and he had a white team 6, and I had all 6 of them in the blast.
That's good. It's good. Because initially
I paid the price for it.
the same thing. It's only like range 2. It's not range 2. It's just basically the whip fuel base as well. So beams are really nice, that kind of thing. But these are some bit more trickier to play off, and you've got to get in harm's way to do it. But it's worth it. So normally, I personally, team affiliation bonus. Then I think, what do I want from my team? Because a lot of my stuff is physical attacks. Now, if I'm going against Carnage, for example, really, really high physical defense, you don't know who you're going to go against, so you need a bit of a Swiss Army knife. So you don't want to go all physical or energy or mystic. I mean, you've got a lot of mystic.
Yes.
But you generally think to yourself, what is my team lacking? How can I make it more versatile? Because if you've got an incredibly good team at doing mystic, and you come across another convocation team,
I've tried that before. It's not fun.
No. It's going to be a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
So, like with Brotherhood, a lot of physical, and there is some throwing. Throwing's quite good. It's pretty versatile. But if you look at your list and you don't have any models who are fast, models who can ignore terrain like fly or wall crawl, no throws, no energies, no mystics. So you've only got like one, like physical, one mystic. You need to be a bit more versatile.
Yeah.
So I personally, I've gone for people like Rogue, who A, can throw things, and B, she can pick if she wants to do either physical or energy.
Yeah. She's a pain in the butt too to face off against.
And what a butt. It's lovely.
Are we going to do those comparisons?
No, listen. I thought you were going to pick up Ebony Maw then. I was like,
no, I was going to go around and pick up. I was going to go around and pick up.
Okay, yeah.
Magic.
Okay, sure. Like Ebony Maw, I'm not judging
No.
that. That's fine. That's
No.
fine.
No.
But yeah, so you've definitely got movement tech on your side.
Oh, definitely.
And in spades. And not only is it just movement tech.
Push, throw, advance, place.
So I've got stuff with my Brotherhood. If I was playing against Marcus and not in a joint team, I can ignore being pushed or thrown with Mystic because they've got Convocation. I thought that's pretty good, right?
So what's the best way of dealing with that? Ignore that ability.
Yeah, so you can just place. And not many models in the game can ignore that. I know Jean can, but that's a real pain. And same with some of the Team Tactics cards can ignore that. Like Indomitable, you can cease to be thrown, things like that, but placing bypasses.
And I've got one character who can do it just for paying for it, and the other character who can do that for... And she puts a nice little flame on you up for doing it as well, so you get incinerated. But the other one is through a tactics card. And they're both just, great for it.
So yeah, you're talking about magic there. Magic is...
Magic, yeah.
And that brings me to my next point. So, movement tech. So not only can you move your opponent, Magic's got something that she can help herself move further up the table. So if your opponent goes, what's the movement on that model, and you go medium, and they're going to guesstimate on the table where that model's going to go, for example. She's got movement tech, so for every power up to 3, she can add an additional range. So she could go 1 power, movement 1, 2 power, movement 2. 3 is a lot longer than you think.
Yeah.
So,
and both of their placements are on range 3, so...
This is it.
Because Magic can, like you said, Magic can pay to move herself. Doctor Strange can pay to move anybody and everybody. Himself, his friends, his enemies. And yeah, I do that quite often. And that's not once per turn for him. That's once per character per turn.
This is it. So if you're going to play competitive or improve your friendly game in your local club, try to think of some tactics that aren't too obvious. So Sabretooth, for example, is prime example. You know he's got no range attacks. You know he's only going to be using claws, so chances are it's going to be physical. So he's a very basic model. So you need to start thinking outside the box. What kind of things do your team need? So you need movement tech for certain models. If you're just close combat, not a lot of range, you need to make them the range combat. So yes, he's movement long, but if you've got any tricks to make him move faster, brilliant. If you've got someone who's got very good long range energy, for example, and you're going up against a lot of physical, and they can't take a hit or something, maybe they want to move themselves out of harm's way. So think outside the box. Make your team a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, as much as you can. I mean, my team's quite restricted on certain things. I don't do the physical game, but I can get around that by making people not play the physical game too.
Yeah, so if you move me, like Juggernaut was very, very slow, and I'm trying to get towards Ebony Maw to beat him up, and you're going to go, move over there. Then you're not going to work on the physical game.
I've got, I like to place my miniatures, I like to place my opponent's miniatures, I like to dictate what kind of attacks will be done. So another reason why you got the little ninjas here. Everybody loves the ninjas. So Electra fits in brilliant with Convocation because she helps dictate the type of game. Ebony Maw does it as well when he's the target of it. That's one of the reasons why he's made it to my list. Doctor Strange has the ability of picking what kind of attack I'm going to throw at the opponent. So yeah, it's a dictate how things are going to happen game.
And I think the next stage for model picking is, you briefly mentioned it, points.
Yes.
So if you've got a 10-man roster, you don't want to have all, let's say, 5-pointed models.
No.
Because you're not going to do very well with a 14-point game, for example.
No.
So
14, 16, 17, you're going to be losing out.
You need a good spread of points. So in Brotherhood, it is quite costly because these two models alone are 11 points. Now I know you've got two models you can pretty much get to 11 points with.
Oh, I've got 3 models on there that are like stupid cost. Because the other thing also when you're building your list is if you're going to attach stones to a miniature, they're there throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a 5-point miniature, which is now a 6-point miniature, and then I've got 2 other 5-point miniatures. So just there, you're talking 16 points just in the miniatures.
This is it. So you need a good spread of points. So 5, 5, 6. 6 is one of the highest ones you're going to get. There's not many of those around. 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, and a 2. So you need a fairly good spread. So if you wanted to, you can go all 2s. I mean, there's a few 2s out there. I'm not sure you can get much of a team of 2s.
5 2s in the game?
Bob, Scarlet Witch, Wong, Toad, Poindexter, Bullseye.
Yeah.
But you can't really make a team like that. So you need a fairly good spread. So you can see my mainstay for my particular list is 3s, but there's a fairly good spread.
So those are my 4s. I've got 3 4s on my list.
Okay.
Then I've got 3 3s and the 1 2. So 6, 2 5s, 3 4s, 3 3s, and 2. These guys don't count because they're attached with her.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves ninjas. Ask Andrew Brown.
So technically, you do have more than 10 models in your
So
team.
technically, I have 11 when I build the list. Yeah.
So he's not breaking the rules. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
So yes, you need
That's a minion, even though it's
Just
a
think-
character minion type.
team affiliation bonus. They need to think cool tricks, tips, like what are you lacking, and aim from there.
Mm.
So build up your weaker part of the game. Think outside the box. So if you think for someone like Sabretooth who's only close combat attacky, get some buffs and things like that so your opponent really doesn't see the tricks coming necessarily. But with like any game, the more you play it, the more stuff you've worked out, you can see kind of mile off.
Things start to drop in. You get sort of like stuck into loopholes with things as well, and sort of like not loopholes, but I suppose more like a rut, and you get your character of addiction.
Oh, Domino.
No,
Oh, you mean Cable?
Yeah. My character of addiction, I had to stop playing for a while because it was like literally every last Scarlet Witch.
I've really tried to play without Cable. I've done a few games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly wouldn't do a Brotherhood and Cable team because what's that? That's 16 points right there for 3 models.
That'd be funny.
It would be funny, but on a widespread game, and this is the next point, so this would be point 4, I guess, would be your mission cards. So you can build your mission cards deck. So obviously, you got 3 blues, 3 reds, and you can dictate what you have in yours, but you don't know what your opponent's going to have because it's a blind pick at the end of the day. So obviously, you can see theirs before you go blind. But I'll just briefly mention, if you've got an incredibly widespread game, if I've got cubes and infinity formula, so pretty much the whole table's covered, it's not like those E's when it's straight up through the middle. I'm probably not going to go, and it's 16 points, I'm probably not going to go these 3 guys, because they're not going to cover all the bases.
No.
Probably, unless I'm playing like Black Order and I just want to murder everything. And then eventually pick up the objectives anyway, right?
Could we get any Black Order models?
Just filthy people. But that's what you've got to consider. So you consider your affiliation, your abilities, you can consider points costs, things like that. And some people pick those 4 points backwards. They pick your missions first, and then think, what would be the best team to work for those particular missions? Which is great, but that's only your cards you're dealing with. You have no idea what your opponent's going to get. So it's an interesting way of doing it. I have seen people work backwards before and go, okay, so I like Gamma, I'm going to put Gamma in there.
The thing is, when you do that, as soon as you show up to your first game, if you pick 6 missions that you love and you build around those 6 missions, but your opponent hates them, you guarantee you're not going to play against one of those. You're not going to be playing to a strong point.
This is it.
So you have one mission that you're capable of playing.
As much as you want to play to a strong point in this game, you're going to have to go this Swiss Army route. So that's why I'm saying, when you've got point 2, pick your weakest things and build them back up. So if you're not very fast, get some movement tech. If you've not got a very long range, see if you can deal with that. If you haven't got those pushes and pulls, there's cards out there that can deal with that. So those are the things you need to address. But for our particular tournament,
we had to go well uncomfortable with missions.
Because we can't pick any 2 missions between 3 of us the same. So there's a lot of talking in between, a lot of messaging.
And on the extraction, there are exactly 9 missions available. So we each have to take a unique mission. So we had to take all 9 of those missions between us. You wanted Spider Infected so much, so I took it for you, didn't I?
It's not even funny. It's not funny. So a lot of my stuff's slow, and Spider Infected just really messes up my plans. It really does. Almost every time it affects me in a really negative way. Yes. But it is a fun game. I don't mean negative as in I don't want to play the game again. It's just really hampers your plans. So specifically, I've got like Gamma, for example. Gamma, for example. If you're not within range 2 of a Gamma shelter, you can suffer 1 damage, right? So I have got things that can regenerate. So I've got healing factor on 2 models here, which is pretty nice. I know that Juggernaut can mitigate any damage, so you pay 1 power and remove a potential damage coming in. So for Gamma, things like that. Struggle for the cube, for example. If you're holding cubes, you suffer 1 damage for every cube you're holding in the power phase. So for example, if X23 is holding 2 cubes, I know she's going to suffer 2 damage, but at the end of her turn, at least her activation even, she is going to regenerate 2 back anyway. So that's why I picked those specifics, because I know you don't have an Imbued healing factor or damage mitigation, and no does Dan. So that's what I specifically am aiming for. Why did you pick these? Is it because we just ditched them on you and you've got no...
No, because I
No
was actually the
choice.
first. The only one that's been dumped on me was I've had to replace my usual Montesi formula for alien ship crashes down, which is like it's my uncomfortable mission. So it's one of those. As soon as the first person finds it, that's it. It's the only one that stays on the table.
I hate shell games.
Yeah.
And it's well known at our club. And I call a shell game a game where you have, let's say you've got mission, and you've got to roll to see if you've got it.
Yeah.
That being said, I have got one in my list.
So each of us has had to take one.
So Mutant Extremists. Basically, there's 3 safe houses. You go up to one, which is an interact, so you're paying your power to see if you can flip it. And you flip it over. If it is the civilian, all the other tokens disappear. And you are now carrying the senator, which means, in this particular one, you are rolling 1 less dice in defense, 1 less dice on dodge rolls, 1 less dice on attacks, and you are slow. Yours is even worse, because you only get 1 movement.
Yeah. It's literally, I mean, it's a mission. If you got Doc Ock, this is the mission you want, because if Doc Ock finds it, because you need to roll a crit to find it.
And he loves rolling crits.
But it's going to be a slow scoring game, because it's only giving you 2 victory points. The maximum you're going to get either side of the table is 2 victory points with whoever's got it, and that's provided that they found it to start with.
But it's a 20-point mission,
It's
so
a 20-point mission.
You can have up to 20 points of models on the table.
Yeah.
Which you love.
I actually love the smaller points as well.
Really? Because I was going to say, because you've got 3 incredibly high pointed models.
Yeah, but the problem is that of those, only one of them is a complication miniature. The other 2 aren't complication. So, yeah, I suppose in a 20-point miniature game, there's no way I'm getting all 3 of them.
No.
Even in 20 points.
That'd be really
because there's 16 points just between the 3 of them.
But at least it's not the kind of mission you have to be on several objectives to get. It's
Exactly.
only 1 objective to get.
I mean, can you imagine those 3 on the same table?
That's not what I was playing.
No.
Definitely
No,
not.
exactly. So, I mean, Defenders-wise, if I was playing Defenders, I could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So
So
I
that-
could go Defenders. I could say, I'm going to play Defenders and Convocation, because Doctor Strange is a Defender, Scarlet Witch is a Defender. I just have no ability. I'd be able to play Defender cards, but that comes into the tactic cards.
So that's in essence what a shell game is. So you've got, let's say you've got 3 things out there. Remember the old shells or cups? When you get 3 cups and there's a ball underneath one of the cups and you've got to watch, you don't know which one it's going to be. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one of those is going to be the senator in the safe house. And I hate them because last time I was at V's at Truro, the tabletop workshop, I played that one not intentionally, but obviously it was picked. It was in my hand. I chose it in my hand. It came up 3 times out of 4 games, and I searched 2 of the safe houses in every single one of those games.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
All day. It's terrible. That's just my luck, my personal luck. That's why I do not like them. I'd rather have a mission where you can see it, you're sitting on it, you're definitely getting that point.
I mean, it makes for a slow game. There is a potential that you could, go the whole game and nobody ever finds them.
But
Because you roll literally 2 dice when you get to it, you pay to interact with it, and if you don't roll a crit on those 2 dice, you don't find it.
But you can play it in a different way. You don't have to try to grab it. You can wait for your opponent. So in this particular one, they're weaker because they're rolling less dice and they're moving small. That one there, they only have 1 movement.
Yeah.
So you could wait until your opponent finds it. So it's not hindering the amount of actions you're performing because you're not going out your way to grab that. You might be moving up to attacking somebody or grabbing another objective. So you're not specifically going for that one. So you get more actions than them if you're thinking like that kind of way. And if they get it, they are limiting their actions that way as well.
Yeah.
So they really are doubling down.
Yeah.
And then you can pick on them because their defense is weaker or they're slower. things like that. So there's two ways of looking at those kind of games.
But it's so slow scoring as well. That's what I don't really don't like about it.
Same with the Senators. It's two.
Yeah,
two
4
victory
tokens.
points.
Actually, it's 3 tokens on this one. There was one of them that was 4 tokens. I can't remember which one it is.
Well, this one's 2 victory points, and it's 14 points for your team. So it's a very, very small team. It's slow scoring. And this is the thing, in this game, you don't know what the other mission is going to be. So when your opponent, for example, tells you to drop your blues, and you know what's in your reds, at least you got some kind of control.
Yeah.
And then when they put theirs down, you could be very, very lucky. You could have like 2 E's or something, and that's playing perfectly into my particular Brotherhood, for example.
Oh, I quite like that as well, don't I?
Yeah, but you never know what you're going to get in this game. It is random, and that's why you have to be basically a Swiss Army knife. You have to be a little bit good at everything.
Yeah. I mean, you do have the chance of whittling it in your favour by picking your missions, but it's not enough that that's the focal point to build your list around.
This is it. And out of like a 3-person tournament, because obviously this is a very different pick for us, how do you normally pick your missions? Do you go for points? Do you go for how many objective tokens are on the table? What's your personal?
My personal is just the ones that I feel comfortable playing.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've already mentioned it already, but Spider Infected, I don't have such a negative impact from it as you do. If my models are moved out of position because of it, generally speaking, I don't really worry too much about it. Whereas, because your things are like slower movement, less chance of placing and all that stuff, it affects you a lot more. The thing I don't like is if mine are brought forward, but then again, some of them I don't mind, but if the spider brings my models forward, it's less fun for me.
Possibly.
Sometimes, mind you, Doctor Strange is either way. Don't know. You know, I've got a lot of short and long range attack type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for example, you wouldn't want Wong to be right in my
No.
half of the table, would you?
No.
You would want him at the back healing.
Exactly.
Basically.
Being a battery for his favourite characters.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Gaining that power.
Yeah. Whereas then I've got other ones like, for instance, Doctor Strange. I mean, straight away, Sorcerer Strange, I should say. But if he's got a spider and he's been brought forward, it doesn't matter so much for me because he's closer to that area attack.
Same with Electro. You want her further forward.
Oh yeah, Electra going forward. So it depends. If there's things that she can attack, then yes. But if there's things that's not, I need her further range. That way she keeps in stealth.
But I like to get rid of those particular missions because I don't like the randomness. I like to know. For example, Gamma. As long as you're within range 1, you're scoring.
Yeah.
You know, if you're on an extremist console, you're scoring. It's not going to throw you around. There's no roll 2 dice if you get a crit or anything like that. So get rid of the randomness because dice hate me. Unlike Marcus, anything but crits, Marcus.
Oh, I think we're all sort of mixing that, and Dan's taking the crit title.
You want him to. You want him.
He's taking it.
It does bite you in the butt when you play against Ghost Rider, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
9 wounds. So I healed about 3 or 4 of them, but
yeah. So crits will wound you if you're attacking a Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Or potentially. So then we have the team tactics cards.
Well, just another thing on the missions is like one of the other ones that I like taking is I like taking the ones where we have to bunch up. So the witnesses, is that the one? No, not that one. I forgot what it's called. You're gonna have to edit that out. Here we go. Research station attack.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the missions. I just don't know their names. So this one I quite like because basically it's whoever has the most around the character, around the token gets to move it. And of course, I quite like that because if people are going to bunch up around Doctor Strange, he gets in there and lots of AoE attack. You liked it when you played Cyclops because obviously the beam attack.
Helpful.
Yeah. It's another one of those missions where if you clump up, you know, you can push your opponent out. I get to throw my opponent out, or if they're going to stay in there, explode against them.
But thankfully, because it's red, and Montesi's also red, there's less likely to be Montesi's beams and things like that.
Yeah.
You can't have 2 red missions at the same time.
No.
Not many people that I'm aware of, when it comes to team tactics cards, build their team and list and everything around a team tactics card. I think it's just a bonus on top.
Yeah.
That being said,
It does influence a number of characters.
There's a few, what I would say, splash characters that are influenced. You don't. He's talking about the card. He's not just telling me to shut up and be rude. Well, he might be. But for example, we'll go into Shush in a minute. Mystique, even though she's a leader, you could use her as a splash character, so you can have her pretty much in any affiliation, and she has deception, so she can move an enemy character towards her, for example, so she can just get into a corner of a table and just drag Hulk off to one side. But I wouldn't say people pick her specifically for this card. I mean, I think it's a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in Brotherhood. Outside of Brotherhood, they might go, Deception's a great card, it's free, I'm going to take Mystique. She's not a bad model. But like Shush.
Yeah.
Shush is whose card?
It's Ebony's.
So Ebony Maw, once again, because you don't play Black Order,
No.
is a splash character for you specifically.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't specifically pick that card for Ebony Maw if you're in Black Order. But if you were playing Ebony Maw in an affiliation that's not Black Order as a splash character, you would probably pick that card.
And it just so happens that I have the card twice on my list.
Technically, yes.
Because it's Shh and it's No More Mutants. So 2 of my splash characters, so Ebony Maw and Scarlet Witch, both have the same card but within just a slightly different title on them. One's for Ebony, one's for Scarlet. And the beautiful thing about that, which really does catch your opponent when they're like, when you have that superpower you have to pull off, it stops it.
Bear in mind, you always talk about your team tactics cards before the beginning of the game, so you tell your opponent what cards you've got. I generally leave it next to the scoreboard, so there's never any feel bads.
Yeah.
Some people do hide it by them, and I think that possibly is a bit cheeky. We all like to be gentlemen.
Thing is, you can always ask your opponent what they got, but you get people who
always ask your opponent, and if you're anything like me, your memory's terrible and you really do want to see them. So I never like the gotcha moments, feel bad moments. But that being said, you don't exactly point it out. Oh, by the way, if you do that, this is going to happen.
Especially since these ones, basically, if your opponent pulls off superpower, you play Shh or No More Mutants, and they have to pay for the ability, but they've lost it.
This is it, and after all, it is a tournament-based game. So even if you're playing a friendly, you tell them before the game starts, because it's very gentlemanly, but you don't have to re-remind them. If it's right in front of them...
I mean, if you're reminding people, then you're getting a bit more bang for your buck, I suppose. You can go, oh, if you do that, I'm going to play Shh, and you'll pay the energy, and then they'll probably go, oh, I don't want to do it, and you're going, my God, that would have hurt me. Either way. It just means that you got the card, and every turn you're going to go, I can go Shh, I can go Shh. So, yeah. But in a tournament, it's, well, when you're playing the games, you dare. That's just it.
This is it. So team tactics cards, in my opinion, unless it's a splash character, you don't go, this is my first option, then team affiliation, then points. It's generally in the order that we're staying this in today. Some people, like I said, have gone 4-1, gone backwards and picked the missions first. That's totally fine. But yes, I've gone for ones, funny enough, that are roughly 50-50. So I've got 3 for X-Men, 3 for Brotherhood, and I've got ones that are universal, because you can only ever play 5 in a mission, even though you start with 10 before the points are announced. And I think that's fairly healthy, because if you went for, okay, that's fix 5, that's fix 5, brilliant, but you might find those 5 are on specific models, not specific affiliations. So, for example, I might have one that states, say this is my Brotherhood in my mission. I've got a Juggernaut card here, and if I can play the Juggernaut card because Juggernaut's not in my team, I'm then numbered with 4 cards. Which doesn't mean you can't play the game. It just means you're already on the back foot, you already have a handicap. You want to have the full complement of 5 cards at the beginning of your game. So
same as like, because with yours, you're limited on. You have 2 affiliations straight away.
This is it. So
there's 3. Is it 3 on each team? Did you say?
Well, I
have you got 3 for X-Men and 3
yeah,
for...
yeah, and then I've got ones I can play for universal cards. So, for example, a good universal card, which is restricted these days, which means you can only have 2 restricted cards on your list, is Patch Up, because healing isn't so common as it used to be.
No.
So, you've got healing in the form of Wong
and Doctor Strange.
Now there was more OG Strange though. Was the healing?
Yes, but Sorcerer Strange when he explodes.
Yeah, fair point. So in Dan's
hence
list,
the reason I managed 9 wounds before dying.
Yeah. So OG Strange, original Strange, is in Dan's list, and he has got healing as well. So we thought, I don't have any characters that can actually heal, even though I have got regen on a couple. So I went for Patch Up because we're a 3-person team.
Yeah.
Can't have any duplicates. Like Indomitable, that's a universal card as well. But yeah, make sure you have 5 cards if you can. So
see, whereas on mine's slightly different. So of the 10 that we take, I have to allocate 1 to my team ability. So technically, I've got 9 cards for my list.
Which isn't so difficult when you've got all convocation.
Yeah, so with all my convocation, I've got 5 that are convocation specific, plus the team tactic card. Then I've got 4 cards that are miniature specific, 2 of which are convocation miniatures anyhow, and then the other 2 are basically the same card for 2 of my splash miniatures.
This is it.
So it's like I can go, technically, so long as I take one of those 2 in any list, I can always take a card that's going to stop a superpower. Technically, nice superpowers to stop is like marriage.
Yeah.
So you can stop, like what is it? Brotherhood does it. Not Brotherhood. Sorry, Black Order does it. Cabal
With Sin and Crossbones.
Sin and Crossbones.
Yeah.
There's a couple others I can't think of. Groot and the Rodent.
Yeah.
Theirs is a marriage. Don't they have a marriage?
They don't have a marriage thing, no. But you can stop like the healing on Groot.
You can stop the healing from Groot. So beautiful little things. That's what those ones are for. So yeah. So I've got those 2. I've got, like I said, I've got the convocation cards specific, and then I've got 2 cards for 2 convocation characters specific. So Seance for Dr. Voodoo. Basically, it makes play with his brother Daniel little ability. And then we were talking about it earlier with Journey Through Limbo for Magic, which is my place in Incinerate.
Which is a real shame, because I used to use Magic quite a bit with that specific card, and then Marcus fell in love with that. And even if it wasn't in the team, I still feel kind of dirty if we have duplicates of models. That's just me. But there's no rule about it. So if you're playing OG Strange and I play OG Strange and we're against each other in a normal event, that's totally legit.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, if you wanted to go dual affiliation or even triple affiliation, just double check any combinations you would want to play. Still gives you 5 cards.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, the cards out there, once again, very much like superpowers. You might want to boost the weakness of your team. Let's say you haven't got your movement tech, you've got movement tech. You haven't got healing tech, you've got healing tech, things like that. So, I mean, you can always play to your massive, massive strength, but I would not recommend going all in, eggs in one basket.
No.
Because you never know what you're going to come up against. And that, I think, is the basics of team building. In this particular instance, obviously, it's a 3-man team, but the rules still apply.
Yeah.
So, have we waffled enough?
Yeah, plenty enough.
Good.
Confuse ourselves.
Yeah, and hopefully we haven't confused you, that's the main thing.
Yeah, because one of the bad problems with building and all that stuff is, which we're bad for anyhow, is lots and lots of tangents.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, like I said, it's a week to go. I can
You're
see
still
Zemo
floating on 3 cards. 3 cards? 2 cards and a miniature?
No, I would say I've got my Team Tactics cards, 9 are locked in. It's a miniature and that specific miniatures card, i.e. Mystique. If I get rid of Mystique, I have to get rid of Deception because there's no point in taking the card you can't use if the model's not there because it's her specific.
How many times have I shown into a game with a card that I couldn't use?
Yeah, we will do. So Mystique is good. Generally as a splash, like I said, but for Brotherhood, she's potential leader. But I keep looking at Zemo. So Zemo does not work in X-Men or Brotherhood, but I will have enough affiliated in either team. You just try and tempt me, aren't you?
Yeah.
That he could work in either one. And he's got a very good ability, universal ability, where he can just allow anybody.
Come on, he is the best three-pointer.
I think so. I mean, whenever I play... And he's from the core set. I would say he's the best three-pointer in the core set.
I'd say he's the best three-pointer in the game.
Very good movement, long movement.
Charge.
Charge is even better. If you just want to grab objectives, he's good for that because if someone tries to pick on you, you can smack back.
Yeah.
He can reroll his own stuff. He can help friendlies reroll their stuff.
Yeah. Offensive and defensive.
But what card would you take with him? Because he doesn't have any specific cards for himself, no named cards. So I'll get rid of Deception, get rid of Mystique, put him in.
What was that card that you dropped the other day?
So 1-2 punch isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Books of Truth with Brotherhood.
Yes, that's the one.
So you can re-roll after all dice are rolled, including skulls and
I have
attack.
Agamotto, basically.
So I have Agamotto, but for 2 power, which isn't bad.
No.
But you've got to have that 2 power. And me, I generally spend power really, really fast. So that's why I have missions that give me extra. So for like Infinity Formulas, you gain an extra power at the end of your turn, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still wavering. I am 9 models, 9 cards locked. Mystique's not bad. I've played 2 games with her. She definitely does not like being in close combat with Thor while he's holding hammers. Because she's got stealth, and stealth doesn't really help you when he's within 1.
Let's face it, nobody likes to be in close combat with Thor.
He's already got a hammer. Why does he need the actual mission hammers? That's just being greedy. But I have used her as a leader. Just give it a go. I wouldn't say it was a fair game because it was against Andrew Brown, and my dice behaved like they don't normally. I actually were rolling these symbols.
You were the Crit King, weren't you?
With the weird exclamation, with the... Never seen them before. It was crazy. It wasn't her. I let her die. I basically put her out to one side, put her on objective, put her token down, picked up a cube, and left her to die. So I know full well Andrew wanted to use Ghost Rider. He had a load of power on him, but he couldn't use any powers against her, and that's one of the good things about her.
Yeah. Does that mean... so he can't convert her crits into...
So he still pummeled the hell out of her, just regular old punching to the face. But yeah, can't do any powers against Mystique. So I let her die, basically. Operation Human Shield, and then concentrate on one side of the board. And Rogue took out Beast and Storm in one turn, picked up 2 cubes off a Beast. I mean, the following turn, she did get punched by Beast, Storm, and Ghost Rider twice each.
Wow.
And then she died. But she did her job. She did her job. It happens. It's a dice game. I must remind myself of this when I'm rolling blanks. Still, your dice are just too consistent crits, though.
I wouldn't say that. But
I don't
that's the
want
debate that we always have. You notice crits in your opponents. You don't notice crits in your own.
Yeah. I'm the kind of guy that does apologise if I do roll exceptionally well, and I did apologise to Andrew a lot in that game. So
I didn't, because he made me pay for it.
We will we'll play.
Thank you, Andrew.
We will play a game off camera this afternoon. Since we've got a bit of free time. Anyway, practicing for the tournament. Just a casual practice because obviously we're not playing against each other in the tournament. And I'll see how Mystique gets on. So there'll be 3 games in, and maybe she'll make it on the roster. We'll let you know probably in the next video because it is this weekend.
This coming
weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's Monday today, Marcus.
Oh yeah. Just doesn't feel like it.
It just doesn't feel like it. Yes. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we didn't waffle too much. But these basic rules...
They're used to us.
There won't be any more. They just unsubscribe. Please don't. Those are the basic rules that I use in any game, any tournament. And this is a bit of a weird oddball, the 3-person tournament. But the hardest bit of the whole of the game for me is not playing the actual game, it's picking the team. Because there's such nice models out there, such great abilities. And the game is, I wouldn't say a flawless rule set, because I don't think any game is, but it's close to it. It's very, very good. Great community. If you've never played Marvel Crisis Protocol before, get yourself a game.
Do you know the hardest part with the team was of us finalising was the missions?
Yeah, because I think that some of the missions have been...
Well, it's because they're obviously with the extractions that we have to take
9.
You know, all 9. But even then, with the blue ones, with the secures, we sort of still struggle with some duplicates.
There's a few missions that have been dropped recently.
Yeah.
So Wakanda Herbs has gone.
Thank God. Anybody who's never played it, you count your blessings you haven't played it.
I played one real bad game with it, one okay, and one really good. So
the way the card is written, with the way the rules are for the mission, it's the most obnoxious game you can play.
It potentially can be. If you tailor towards that particular mission, you're going to do all right. If you just have a normal team that you've tailored as your Swiss Army knife and you go into it.
Well, as we said before, you take Black Widow, your first activation is to pick up your own herb and run away.
Yeah.
So therefore it's impossible for your opponent.
The thing is though...
No, not impossible, but...
After you pick it up, if you've moved, you can't move again.
No, that's correct, yeah. But the thing is, the advantage was that Black Widow being a long move and stealth.
I do think Toad has got some value in that, because let's say
And
Black Widow moves up, she picks it up, Toad moves nearby, he can then spend his power to take it off of her, and then he can move, and then he could do a hop if he's got enough power. So there is tricks that you could play.
Yeah. Quicksilver couldn't do his superpower because he's not allowed to carry something while he does it. Ghost Rider was phenomenal with it.
Juggernaut wasn't bad. I mean, you could move up, grab it, or if you already got it, you can spend his 3 power to move.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad anyway. As in, he's got a push afterwards. It's pretty good. But yeah, that mission's no longer in play, and neither is, for example, Star-Lord's own.
Yes.
Box. That's gone. But we'll see if those get rewritten and brought back into the fold, and I'm sure there'll be more missions.
They need to do more missions.
I mean, a
In
3-person
action.
team event is quite rare. I've never seen one or heard of one. So I think that's what they could do, because they did a 4-person event. You couldn't physically have all those cards.
No, you'd have to duplicate.
This is it. So, like I said, hopefully this made sense. Hopefully the guidelines, which we generally follow, kind of steer you in the right direction. But I cannot help you with picking your roster yourself, because I can't pick my own flipping roster. It would take me an hour before I actually play. So that's generally why I make lists, not while I'm at work.
You still dream about it at work, don't you?
I do think about it all the time. That's a bit sad. But yeah. You found
like Steve thinking about this, and it's like, that's not the best thing to do when you're a roofer. Shall I put a bit higher?
No. So just think carefully. Don't do it while you're on a roof, for example. Things like that. Caution, should be a little caution probably at the bottom of the screen saying, don't think about Marvel Crisis Protocol lists while you are a nuclear scientist, for example. I don't know. So yes, please hit the like button if you haven't done already. Any comments that you want to throw below? For example, Mystique, is she worth taking?
I think so.
Or Zemo? Mystique or Zemo? I mean, other models are available.
Half a dozen t'other.
Other models are available. I've got personally 40 models. Is it over 100 models now, isn't it?
164 plus.
164 models?
Yeah.
164 models?
Yeah. And we only play with 10.
It's not supposed to be a collector's game, but... Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
still
we-
quite well.
yeah.
I thought 40 models.
Yeah.
Still. But yes, if you feel like there's a model that would benefit this team, put a comment up below. Tell me the reasons why. Cool. Stay safe, everyone. Catch you in the next video.